At first, fans weren't talking about what she said on TV. They were talking about how long it took for her to show up. When Caitlin Clark was announced as part of NBC's big NBA pregame broadcast, viewers were excited to see how the WNBA superstar would handle her debut in front of a national audience. But as the show went on and her segment still hadn't appeared, frustration started to grow online. People were waiting, refreshing, wondering when she'd finally be on screen. And then, when she did appear, something unexpected happened. The conversation completely changed.
Steady, descriptive tone. Big matchup. Bright lights at Madison Square Garden. Star analysts at the desk. And viewers knew Caitlin Clark was supposed to be part of the show. But as the pregame broadcast rolled on, minute after minute passed, and she still hadn't appeared. Online, fans started asking the same question. Where is she? Some viewers felt the buildup had been huge, so the delay made it feel like something important was being held back. It wasn't anger, more like impatience. People had tuned in specifically to see how she would handle her first major NBA broadcast appearance, and the longer the wait, the more noticeable it became. By the time she finally joined the show, the anticipation had quietly turned into a test. Now everyone was watching closely. And then she appeared. No dramatic entrance, no big announcement. Just a smooth transition to the desk, and suddenly, all that waiting faded into the background. From her very first response, it was clear she was comfortable. She spoke naturally, didn't rush, and sounded like someone who had been in that seat before. She wasn't trying to impress. She was just talking basketball. Whether it was discussing the atmosphere in the arena or reacting to the conversation around the game, her tone felt relaxed and confident, the kind of presence that makes viewers forget someone is technically a guest. That's when the online reaction started to shift. Instead of asking where she was, people started saying the same thing for a completely different reason. Within minutes, social media filled up with a completely different tone. Viewers who had been impatient earlier were now saying the same thing. She looked like she belonged there. People described her as natural, confident, and surprisingly comfortable for someone making her first major NBA broadcast appearance. Some even went a step further, suggesting that broadcasting could easily be part of her future once her playing days are over. It wasn't just polite praise. It felt genuine, like fans were noticing how smoothly she fit into the rhythm of the show. She wasn't trying to steal the spotlight. She wasn't forcing opinions. She was simply adding smart, calm insight to the conversation, and that's what made the biggest impression. In a matter of minutes, the narrative had shifted from, "Why isn't she on yet?" to, "She might actually be great at this."
But her appearance wasn't only about proving she could handle a microphone. During the broadcast, she also found a way to bring the conversation back to the women's game, showing that even on an NBA stage, she was still thinking about the bigger picture. She spoke about how special it felt to be inside Madison Square Garden and mentioned her hope of playing there someday in a WNBA game. She even suggested that the New York Liberty could move one game to the iconic arena in the future. It was a small comment, but it carried weight. She wasn't just enjoying a new opportunity in media, she was using the platform to shine a light on where women's basketball is headed. And at a time when the league is going through important negotiations about its future, her calm confidence stood out again. She made it clear she believes the WNBA is in one of the biggest moments in its history, not just for one league, but for all of women's sports. So while viewers were discovering a new side of her on television, she was still quietly representing the game that made her a star in the first place.
In the end, her first night on NBC wasn't remembered for the delay. It was remembered for how quickly she made herself at home. A national NBA broadcast, a panel full of Hall of Fame talent, millions watching to see how she would handle the spotlight. And instead of looking out of place, she looked prepared. That's what stood out. Not just that she could do it, but that it felt natural. Moments like this say something bigger than a single TV segment. They show how the lines between leagues, audiences, and platforms are starting to blur, with women's basketball stars now part of the mainstream conversation in a new way. One broadcast won't define her career, but it did reveal something important. Whether it's on the court or in front of a camera, she knows how to command the moment.